All right, welcome to today's live stream. Today is January 29th, 2025. And so we're coming up on the end of January. And how's your January been? How are you doing? How's your New Year's resolutions? How are they going? Most people by February are struggling to keep their New Year's resolutions. So if you're still keeping yours, good job and keep it up. One of my resolutions was to do more sculpting and drawing and just art creation. And so that's part of what these live streams are for. And in February, I'm going to kind of reassess like the schedule that I want to do, but so far in January, I've just been trying to do those every weekday, and that's what I've been doing. So today I'm going to be working on this sculpture. This one's one that I started when I was doing a review of this Nara modeling clay, and this was the cheapest clay that I could find for a non-drying modeling clay. So this is from Hobby Lobby, and I got it when it was on sale, which happens fairly often. If you keep your eyes out, you can find it on sale. And it ended up being about $1 for $1 a pound. So it's $1.99. It's typically $1.99 per pound, but when it's on sale, it's like half off. So it's like $1 a pound. And then if you get, I think, $50 worth online, the shipping is also free. So I took advantage of that. I got some of this like chalk colored clay and then also just some of this, and they both turn out to be kind of a gray color. This one's a bit darker. It has a black in there, so it darkens it quite a bit. But this clay that I'm using is just these two types of clay, the chalk clay and the normal colored clay mixed together and melted together. So that gives me this kind of neutral gray. Not super dark, but also not too light. If you just melt together this one, then it's quite a bit lighter. This is what it looks like if it's just the chalk colors. You can see that contrast. But I found that it wanted to separate more when I was melting it down if I just used the chalk, this lighter colored clay. So, but you can use it and it works fine. Do I like this clay as much? Let's see, I'll keep this back here. I don't like this clay as much as the Dollar Tree modeling clay, or the Dollar Tree. I find that the Dollar Tree clay is just a little bit more, I describe it as silky. Like there's something about sculpting it that feels a little bit nicer. But if you're just going for the cheapest, this is the cheapest I've been able to find. So it's great if that's what your primary priority is getting a cheap clay so that you can do large sculptures for not that much money. And let's see, I'm gonna be working on this over here. The reference I'm going to keep off screen just because I haven't gone through and censored the reference, and so I just have a reference of this pose, and feels like that I need to push this hip out just a little bit farther than what I have. Feels like, okay, yeah, that hip needs to be pushed a little bit, so I'm going to come at it from that direction, and then just remove a little bit on this side. Gotta lift this up just a little bit. Thank you for sharing your well-earned sculpting skills. Very appreciated. Yeah, no problem. I've never made anything that big. Yeah, well, I think this is only, it's maybe 5 pounds of clay. So that's like 5 of these. So maybe if you don't get these on sale, it's maybe $10 worth of clay. So not super expensive if you can just melt these down. And you might want to try something this size, because it's fun to work a little bit larger. It's fun to do smaller stuff too, but this size is pretty common for like a gallery setting. You see this size all the time. So, and if you haven't tried it, then it's definitely worth giving a try. I'm gonna kind of push this over. I feel like the hips are a little bit more tilted than what I had. I've got to come and correct some of the work that I've already done, which is kind of a pain. That's why you want to get it right from the beginning, but sometimes you can't always do that. So you just have to fix it later on. It takes a little bit more time to fix something than it does to get it right from the beginning. But I think I was kind of rushing this sculpture just because it was just to test out the clay. And so mistakes are to be expected. Mistakes in the gesture. I'm going to push these. So this needs to be more like this angle. We get our clay from PSH, $44 a box, Shiba Smooth Raku clay, although if remembered correctly, you do not like the white clay. It's okay. How much comes in a box? So $44 a box, and how much is in the box? How many pounds or how many kilograms are in the box? I'd be curious to know. Because I try to calculate the dollar per pound of the clay, or the cost per pound or per unit. Feels like most unbelievable. $20 kilograms. So yeah, that's a good deal on the clay, and it's white. Yeah, white clay. I mean, it's okay. You can it definitely helps you see the surface better. I just prefer gray. So what I would probably do is just get like you only need a little bit of coloring. So you could even just use a tiny bit of dark clay that's a similar type of clay, and then just add that in, and you could probably add coloring to the whole 44 pounds with just a little bit of like black clay. So that's probably what I would do. But I like playing with the colors of clay and mixing it and kind of experimenting with it, making it my own. So even with the Chavant NSP that I typically get, I'll usually mix the Chavant NSP medium green with 1/4 tan hard, and so it changes the color a little bit, makes it a little bit less of a saturated green, and I like that, and it kind of differentiates it from like just the out-of-the-box clay. So I don't know why I like to do that, but I guess I feel like the clay is more mine when I change the color on it. I once mixed an amount of clay close to that with my hands, since I can't melt them. Safe to say I can bend 6-inch thick metal pipe. Yeah, that would be difficult. 44 pounds, or what is that, 20 kilograms, so like 40 pounds of clay with by hand. That would be very difficult. Though I would just do it in batches, you know, just do a little bit, melt it, and then do another batch if I couldn't, because that would be very difficult to mix that much clay by hand. Okay, let's see. This one, I feel like the arms I also have a little bit off. So this arm is coming up more. Okay, well, must go, brother. Wanted to stay and watch, but life calls. Maybe, well, again, thank you. Yeah, thank you for comments, and thanks for watching while you could, and appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you around again soon in another live stream or another video. I broke them down to chunks. Took forever. Definitely not worth it. Yeah. I would have tried to melt those down, but because yeah, that's going to be a pain. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna. So as usual, I want to mention my online sculpting assignment checklist PDF for the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course. There's one on the figure and one on the portrait, and those PDFs have links to all of the free lessons if you're interested in sculpting and you'd like to learn but you're not ready to invest in like a full sculpting course. Then I definitely recommend checking out those PDFs. You can find links to those in the description of the video. And then if you like the free stuff and you're like, yeah, this is something that I'd like to invest more time and energy into, then I definitely recommend getting the full courses, whether it's the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course, which is kind of a beginner, like a basics course. So I approached it as I would just trying to help people that hadn't sculpted before learn the basics and everything I wish I knew when I started. And then the portrait sculpting course is a little bit more advanced if you're interested in taking on one of the most difficult things an artist can take on, which is the portrait. Then that course will be a great resource. We go over anatomy and the fat pads of the face, simplification, all that good stuff. So that's also a great resource. And then there's also a hand sculpting course. That one doesn't have a free PDF, but there's free lessons that you can find on the Proco 3D YouTube channel, along with all of the free lessons from the other courses. So there's definitely resources if you're interested in learning, but you don't really know where to get started. Then I would start with those. Could you actually tell me what you do? How did you take up art as a profession? Like, what did you do after school? Well, I could tell you what most people do, like most art graduates do, and that is that they go find a job unrelated to art, and then they do art in their spare time. And so that's probably the easiest way to go about it. What I did was I found Proco, this Stan Prokopenko, this person that had figured out how to monetize art education in the private sector. And I reached out and tried to work with him, and fortunately I was able to do that. But that's not going to be, not everybody wants to teach. Some people just want to go into the arts. And so other options are doing art shows around the country. So there are people that, travel, they make their sculptures, and then they travel around and do sculpture shows. A big one is Sculpture in the Park. That's one that I've done several times, and I really like that show. But also that's not maybe for everybody. I don't particularly enjoy shows. I find them very draining emotionally. So it's not, I do one a year and that's good enough for me. And I haven't made a crazy amount of money. Usually it's like $3,000 to $5,000 that I'll make during that show, and it's one show a year. So that's not, it's not a crazy amount of money that I've made. But there are people that do very well, that they sell almost all of the sculptures that they bring, and they've kind of figured out their audience, and they've done it for a while, and they make a lot more than I do. So there are plenty of artists that do those shows and do very well. Then you could go into teaching in a traditional setting. So you could teach, like an art teacher is probably one of the, whether it's in college or in high school or something like that, and that gives you kind of time to instruct and work on some of your own projects. But what I've heard from a lot of those people is that kind of drains their creative energy. But that is another option where you're in the arts and you're doing something creative because you're you're at least teaching that subject. And if you're disciplined enough to try to keep improving yourself as you teach, then that can be a great way to be in the arts and hopefully help light the passion of being creative for other people. And the reason that I didn't go into that is because I just don't like the public school system and the college system. I feel like they're largely wasteful when it comes to time and energy and the way that they're run, and the school bureaucracy. From what I'd heard from other teachers, just from the way schools are run, it doesn't seem like they value teachers that much, especially good teachers that want to be great at what they do. Because, a great teacher and a mediocre teacher will basically, it makes no difference to the people running the school and even the college. They get paid the same regardless of the quality of the teachers, typically, unless the teachers are so bad, overall, that people start noticing and stop participating in the school. But for the most part, most colleges, there's so many courses and everything that they can have several teachers that aren't great. But anyway, so there's that. You could go, the public or the teaching route, which a lot of people do. Let's see, I changed this a little bit from the pose. Now I'm going to change it back with the foot. So there's that. And then you could also go through the traditional gallery, trying to sell your work to galleries and promote it through that. That's something that I can't really speak to because I haven't invested enough time and energy in doing that myself to be able to say, this is how you do it. It's something that I've wanted to do, but I just haven't found the time and energy to devote to do that. And then another option is public works. So there's places like Call for Entry, I think that's what Call for Entry or Cafe, Art Cafe, where they have people that are interested in hiring artists for local art projects, government art projects, or projects for businesses and things like that. That's something that I've applied for a few of them. I've almost gotten some, but it's something where you really have to apply constantly. And it's tricky because a lot of them require that you've already done something similar in the past. So if they're asking for a sculpture in a location, they want to see that you've already done something of that size and scale in the past, which means basically that you have to do something large and for free, just so that you can say, yeah, I've done something like that in the past, and here's where it is, and this is an example of it. So, but I mean, if you can do that, then it opens up a big possibility of getting these commissions, these larger commissions from for public works of art, or businesses that want to hire artists. And again, that's I think it's Art Cafe or something, Call for Entry. If you Google that, then that's the site where most people post their search for artists or art related when they're looking for artists. And let's see, so what have I gone through? So, and then there's just the privately, making an Etsy store and then trying to find a product that sells well. And this is something that, again, I'm not, I haven't found a lot of success doing, but it's something that I know there are people that are successful creating themed sculptures or themed works of art around, whether that's Valentine's or motherhood or Christianity, religious themes, or you just find your theme and then become known for that in places like Etsy and create works of art, original works of art that you can sell there. And there is some added value of people knowing that it's a original handmade work of art. And so that's another option. So those are the like sources of income that come to mind. And what I did is I basically did, like I said, I did none of those. I went and looked for a way to do something outside of what people typically do. And it took me years to develop an online course and start making money through it. So it was like 2.5 years working part-time before I made any money. So somebody, a sculptor that I know, said, give it 10 years and don't expect to make any money out of it. And then after 10 years, you'll know if you can make it as an artist. So that's kind of difficult, especially if you're somebody that's trying to provide for a family or you want to provide even just for yourself. But I think with most artists, that's what it ends up being, which is why a lot of people become artists once they're retired and they don't really need the money, but they want something to do, and so they devote time and energy into the art that they weren't able to do while they were working. But if you can, there's nothing wrong with having art as a hobby. And if you set aside time regularly, just a couple hours a day, you can become a great artist with just a couple hours a day of consistency. So just instead of spending so much time on social media, or while you're, listening or watching a live stream like this, be creating on your own, be sculpting something on your own. And if you're able to do that, then you can really improve your skill and you can become a great artist. And then, I would try to monetize it while you're doing something that's more marketable, while you're doing a normal job or something like that, and then try to replace that income slowly instead of trying to do what I did, which was go all out on the art. But I struggled, and I still struggle to support a family. So I can't recommend what I did because it's probably not, there was a lot of sacrifice that went into it that probably most people wouldn't be willing to sacrifice that much. Hi, sir. Can I use Chavant for a beginner? Yeah, Chavant works great. I really like the Chavant clay. Some people find it to be very hard, the medium clay that I recommend. So you have to warm it up to make it softer. If you're doing larger sculptures, then a softer clay might be beneficial. But I was saying that this sculpture right here is this Nara brand modeling clay. It's not my favorite, but it's the cheapest that I've been able to find. It's $1.99 a pound, and sometimes it's on sale for half of that. And so this is from Hobby Lobby, Nara modeling clay. And that's what this is. I just melted down these two clays, put them together, and I'm sculpting with that. So the clay doesn't really matter that much. This isn't my favorite, but it's the cheapest that I've found. So that's helpful when something is affordable, especially if you're doing a larger sculpture. But really any type of clay will be fine. The Chavant is a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more high grade of a clay, but it's one that I like a lot. But I would try a little bit before you get a lot, just because it is expensive. I think the Chavant is like, what is it, like $5 or $6 or $7 a pound when you buy it in bulk. If you get only just like 2 pounds, it's like $10 to $20 a pound or something like that, or maybe $15 a pound or so. Something crazy, and inflation, But if you get 40 pounds, then it brings it down to like, I think it's like, I don't remember, like $5 a pound or something like that. Or maybe $8 or $9 or $10 a pound. Well, I don't know. I guess I can't say what it is. I'd have to go look it up. Why do those people learn art only to use it in their spare time and just to work for a job if you could just actually become something? Let's see. Why do those people learn art only to use it in their spare time and just work for a job if you could just actually become something? So let me see if I understand. So why would somebody just do art in their spare time? Well, it's difficult to monetize. It's just difficult to turn into an income. I mean, that's pretty, like the starving artist is pretty, it's like a stereotype for a reason, because it's hard to monetize creativity. Anything in the creative world, like if you're a musician, or if you're, like most musicians, most painters, most sculptors, most like people that are interested in these things won't be successful. That's just with any creative field. It could be most entrepreneurs, most people that start a business, most, anything that you're creating something new and you're building something new, failure is a much more likely outcome than success. So if you kind of have that in mind and then set yourself up so that your failures are manageable, so that you can deal with maybe not having, what I did was I moved to a less expensive state. I moved across the country to somewhere where the cost of living was a lot more affordable. And I was able to do that because I make a lot of my money online. Same thing with like YouTube, creating a YouTube channel. Like most YouTube channels are not successful. And I'd say that mine's probably like one of the less successful YouTube channels because I've been doing YouTube for 10 years and it's grown very slowly. So most creative things is going to be very slow, and if you make it at all, it's going to be after years and years of work and effort. So I totally understand why somebody would just have art in their spare time, and it's usually because they enjoy it, they're passionate about it, but they're not sure how to monetize it. And so that's why somebody would try to monetize it or just do it on the side. So it's not like that they want to, it's just that it's difficult. It's a difficult thing to monetize. But I think it's worthwhile, and if you're like me, you're just miserable if you're not creating something. If you're not doing something creative, drawing, painting, sculpting, creating, content, videos, something that whatever it is that lights your fire, that you just find makes life enjoyable and interesting. If you're not doing that, then if I wasn't creating something artistically, I'd be miserable. And so it's more to avoid misery than because I think it's a logical and easy way to provide for a family. I see Nara Clay from Thailand. I'm from Malaysia. It's easy to find this clay. Thanks for answering, sir. Yeah, I think this is it from, I don't know where it says it's from. Yeah, made in Thailand, yep. Made in Thailand, distributed from Oklahoma City for this one. But yeah, it's just that one. So an inexpensive, easy to use clay. But that, just like how do you make a living, raises an interesting question. Is like what is the value of art? Like this is a very, philosophical question. And that, might ask or might lead you to an even deeper question, which is what is the meaning of life? And then it gets very tricky. Especially, I think the reason that I believe that figurative art is worthwhile is because I believe that we were created in the image of God. I believe that we were made in His image and in His likeness, and so when we're sculpting other people, we're participating in something divine because those people were divinely created, and so it's like a celebration of the beauty of the human form that was created by God. So that's my framework for justifying the amount of time, effort, and energy it takes to sculpt people, to learn how to represent people in art. It's a difficult journey, but I think it's worthwhile because I think people are worthwhile, and I think they have intrinsic value that was given to them because they are sons and daughters of the creator of the universe. So I have that moral or religious framework through which I can view art as worthwhile. But if your framework's different, then how do you justify, or can you justify like art even if you never made any money doing it? Like, is it something that you can justify spending hours and hours becoming good at it? Like, what is your reason behind wanting to create something interesting, or wanting to study the human form, or wanting to be creative as an artist? And so you have to find that. You have to find that because you could never be a great artist without some sort of justification for that time and energy, because it's a lot of time and it's a lot of energy that any artist is going to spend. And I think, maybe a lot of artists didn't have a coherent, like, thought out reason. They just had that God-given interest in art. Like, they didn't know why, they just had to create. That was just something that was given to them. It wasn't necessarily something that they chose. And I think that that's the case for a lot of people. And so a lot of people don't say, well, I do this because I think people are valuable. It's like, well, it's just something that I like doing, as far as some people go with their thought process behind being creative and doing art. But I think having a deeper meaning, a deeper justification is something that can improve your work and give you sustained encouragement throughout your journey as an artist. Let's see, what do you think of someone who wants to do art in the way like designing characters and concept art, like in terms of a job? I think that is perfectly, that is perfectly a good thing to try to get into. And there's lots of tools to do it. I'd say that also, like, if you can, the risk in that nowadays is that a lot of that character, well, I guess you could say this about almost any field, but a lot of the character design, like art, is starting to be taken over by AI, or AI is getting to the point where with 3D stuff you can get by with a lot of the technology is fastly developing to where AI can do a lot of that. But maybe you use AI as a tool, as a character designer, and that's just something that you use as one resource among many to do your own artwork. Which there's a debate on whether it's really yours if you're getting assistance from AI. But I mean, that's just the world we live in. So there's always going to be something that you could look at and say, oh, that's a reason to be discouraged or to not pursue this avenue. But I'd say if it's something that you're interested in, pursue it. Like, take the first step, and then if it doesn't work out, then change direction and try something else. And keep doing that until you find something that that does work. Because I think there's no better time in human history to be an artist, because there's never been a more prosperous time in human history. And so people have the money and the resources to support artists now, more than they ever have. But the trick is turning those people into people that value art enough to spend their hard-earned money on art rather than something else. And a lot of that is going to the industries that are doing very well. So if you're going into character development for the gaming industry, an industry that is very, very big and kind of a thriving industry, or maybe it's like, or whatever the next thing is. Maybe it's not video games, but maybe it's, some sort of reality, immersive reality type games or things like that. Like, there's so many things that we don't even know what's coming. But if you can just try to find a niche and capitalize on things that are starting to take off, then I think that that's a perfectly reasonable thing to pursue. So I would say go for it. Try to find somebody that's in that field, and ask them if you could buy them dinner or something like that. If you could, pay them for an online consultation, and that might be more valuable than a college class if you're able to spend an hour and have some really well thought out questions of how they got into their industry and what they would recommend. And that's how I would start to go about it. But again, it's tricky, creativity. I'm not here saying that, that's one of the reasons that my art is in the, it's $150 range, I think, or the figure one might be $125 or something. So it's like, what you'd pay for, a month's groceries or something. Or, not a month's groceries anymore, for one person. No, it's like, it's a sacrifice. If you're making, $10 an hour, it's a week's, what is that? $10 an hour which is like, you're working 8 days, 8 hours a day. So anyway, $150, it's a significant amount, but it's not in the thousands. If I was teaching something where I felt like people could automatically turn around and convert it into a occupation, then I would be charging a lot more, because then it's something that they're able to flip and then start making money, and so I can justify a higher price tag for those courses. But because I understand that for most people, sculpture is going to be a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that, because it's fun and it's enjoyable and it's worthwhile, and it's something that if I wasn't doing it professionally, I would hope that I would be able to find time to do it as a hobby. Because I understand that, then that's why it's not a higher priced course. But there's courses online, like courses on, becoming a real estate agent, or things like videography. Like, there's a channel that I follow. What is it? Full-time filmmaker that talks about becoming a filmmaker, and their courses are like in the $1,000 range for their full course, and they have like mini courses that are less than that, but their full course is like a $1,000, or I think it's like $500 when you get it on a discount or during sales or something. And that's because they're saying, like, we're marketing to people who want this to be their career. They want to make money filming and creating content or helping people advertise or things like that. And so they're able to, I think, more easily justify a course that's an online course but costs as much as like a in-person workshop would for like sculptors. So that's all I have to say about that, I guess. But maybe, maybe what I need to do is create a business that can hire sculptors. There was somebody recently, I went to the dentist and he was talking about, I might need to hire some sculptors or a sculptor, because it takes time to sculpt the teeth. I need to a little 11-minute or like a 10-minute turnaround from when we take the tooth out and then we have to scan it and sculpt a new tooth, so that we can put that in and that it's about the same as the old tooth. And so that's something that potentially could be done online, and there could be people that are interested in sculpting and that have a basic understanding of the anatomy and all of that. And he said that right now the AI is at a point where you can get like a basic form, but it doesn't feel organic yet. So even that one, maybe AI will take that over pretty soon. I don't know. I can't say, but maybe that's something where it's not something that's super. It's not like it's not a sexy, interesting fine art way to go about it, but maybe it's just a need that a lot of dentists around the country or around the world feel that, I just need somebody to sculpt a convincing looking tooth for these things that I'm going to 3D print and put in as dentures or whatever. And so that's something else to think about. Like, there's opportunities that are usually come from where people they just don't want to do that, or that's not in their field house, or they're not interested in taking the time to learn the software that it would require to do it in-house. So I don't know, there are those types of opportunities, and you just got to find them. Hey everyone, I just got clay delivered not long ago. I'm excited to start practicing. Yeah, get it out. Start right now during this live stream. Sculpt something. That's the only way to get better is by just doing it. Yeah, it's always nice getting new clay. It's like Christmas. Get some new clay to try something, to sculpt something. Do you know what you're going to sculpt? If you have something that, an idea or a concept that you want to bring to life, then that can be motivating for sure. Maybe I'll bring this outside, because one of the things about this clay, this Nara brand clay, it's fine, it's cheap, but it's a little bit soft. And so outside it's pretty cool today. So if it's colder, that makes it firmer. So maybe when I'm working on the details, I'll bring it outside and then that'll keep it firm once I want to start laying in the details. What type of clay did you get? The person that just got new clay. I guess, I don't know. Some people might. Sometimes that's what I do during a live stream. I'll just like leave a comment and then leave, so I never know if my comment got answered or not. I guess that's most people. It says the average view duration is 4 minutes and 3 seconds right now. So most people are like, that's interesting for 4 minutes, and then I'm gonna go watch something else, which I don't blame you. I mean, how interesting can it be watching somebody sculpt? I guess it could be really interesting, if I was more of an interesting person, or maybe just better at talking during these live streams, storytelling. That's something I need to work on. I think if I was better at that, then my channel would probably do better. It's just, it's a skill. It's a skill you have to learn to be able to be good at telling stories and getting people emotionally interested and invested in whatever you're doing. But something I definitely need to keep working on. There's always something to work on. Always something to improve on. One of the things I was thinking about last night is like, I should look for a gym bro, somebody to go to the gym with, because I found that when I would exercise with my brother, my little brother, that those were some of the best sessions in the gym, because then you have somebody that's pushing you. And so my little brother is 10 years younger than me, and we started going to the gym when he was about, I think he was, 18 or 19? I can't remember. Anyway, he was still in his teens, and, he had some, I think it was just after graduating, so he was probably 18. So he still has, that teenage testosterone that really helps him improve, really helps you improve quite a bit. And I found that, it was crazy. He was going up in weight, but then I was also improving more than I had. I'd tried to work out regularly for years. And so I'd been out of high school for 10 years and just trying to work out on my own. But I found that when I was working out with him, we would just, there's just this, you don't even have to say anything. There's like this competition in the air, and you just see how much that they're doing, how many reps they're doing, and the form and everything, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you try to do a little bit more, push yourself a little bit harder. And so it was, we would still have days where we were both kind of worn out and we just didn't push ourselves very hard. But for the most part, like it's almost hard to not push yourself because the other person is pushing themselves. And so that competition with exercising and with really anything is something that I found to be really valuable. Same thing with the sculpting competitions that I've been to. It's like not only a humbling experience because you realize that, you're not as good as you thought you were sometimes. Well, with every competition I've done, that's been the case where I think, I'm pretty good. I'm an online sculpting instructor, so I should know what I'm doing. But then every time when I lose, I'm like, I really need to be better at sculpting. I'm trying to teach people this, and I can't even win a competition. But, that's just life. And I think that spirit of competition is really good when it comes to art or when it comes to physical challenges. And so, yeah, that's maybe something that, that's something that I've tried to implement online with some of the sculpting competitions that I've done. And I think I'm going to try to do another one in April, maybe towards the end of April. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you're keeping an eye on my content. I'll probably share that on the Proco 3D YouTube channel. There'll be a video about it, as well as on this channel, and on my social media, on my Instagram page. So if you're not following me there, on Instagram it's Andrew Joseph Keith 15. After I started a new Instagram account, but those sculpting competitions, online sculpting competitions, a lot of people have said that they're really beneficial because it motivates them to basically finish a sculpture in a short amount of time. It's like 3 weeks those competitions usually last, and so people really need to just finish a figure. I recommend doing something about this size in 3 weeks, and so having that external competition saying that you need to finish this if you want to submit it and be able to win the competition, I think is a really valuable. It's a really valuable thing, but it's tricky because we try to have some cash prize, and that comes like directly out of my pocket, and I don't have a lot of resources to do that. So we need to find some sponsors or something so that I can do those competitions more often. Because I do think that spirit of competition is great. It's great for any industry. There's people that are competing to be the first or to be the best. I'm moving from digital ZBrush to traditional sculpting. Are the concepts the same between digital and traditional? The concepts are basically the same. I mean, it's a little bit different. There are tools that you can use in digital that you can't in physical, and the same thing with physical sculpting. There's just the physical sculpting process is a little bit different. So I think that's great, especially, well, like I was saying about AI, with AI in art, people are talking about how it's taken over, but then there's going to be an increased market for people that are working in using old-fashioned traditional methods, because people will say, oh, well, yeah, AI, that looks cool, but it wasn't created by somebody that spent their life learning a technique and mastering a skill. And so there's going to be a growing market for man-made products that are beautiful and interesting and well made. So I think even if you're into digital sculpting, then practicing sculpting in clay, traditional sculpting, is a great thing to do. Sometimes I've heard that traditional sculptors or people that have done mostly digital and then they switch to traditional clay have a difficult time with symmetry, because with the portrait in whatever program, you're able to just mirror the one side to the other, and so you can do that, but you don't have that option with traditional clay. So sometimes matching sides can be a difficult thing, which it's difficult even if you started with traditional sculpting. So that's something to look out for. Just make sure that as you're building up the sculpture, you're building it symmetrically from side to side, those areas that are symmetrical. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say the concepts are pretty much the same, and there's people that have gone through my sculpting courses that have said, I'm mostly interested in digital, but am I going to find value out of this? And absolutely, sculpting principles are sculpting principles regardless of what technology you're using to do it or what material you're doing it in. So additive sculpting is is a craft. It's a something that you can learn and something that you can get better at. And so so I'd say, yeah, just apply those same principles. Let me get some tools. But yeah, I think there's going to be a market for people going through and doing things on their own, doing things the traditional way. I think there's even going to be a market for people going back and doing, like, even in movies, like people doing like moderate budget movies, but going back to actually doing physical effects with sculpted, creatures, sculpted features. And so that can be difficult. It can be time consuming. But I think there's going to be a market for people that are able to do that and are able to, create interesting and impressive characters, or, animals, beasts, using practicals, as they call them in the movie industry. So I think there's going to be a market for that. And you don't even have to be, a super large studio. That's something that I've thought about, that I'd like to get into filmmaking. I'd like to create a short film this year. So I want it to have something to do with art, I think. That would make sense. But something that I can film with a short film, something that I could do with a low budget and use kind of the skills that I've built up. So some sort of story that involves an artist. In fact, I guess you could tell you guys that my idea, my concept, my movie concept. This is something, I don't know if this will be the first short film that I do, but something that I've thought about as that would be a cool concept for a video is that there's, an artist, a struggling artist, and you see that he's struggling. He has a family he's trying to provide for, but the bills are never paid. There's like tension between him and his wife as they argue about money, a very relatable kind of situation for people that have ever struggled with money. And so there's kind of that tension. And then he's like scrolling through social media, and he sees an ad for a that basically addresses his problems. Are you a struggling artist? Are you struggling to make ends meet, but you want to do something creative? Well, just like watch this video, and like this like sign up for this class, and we'll show you how to make $10,000 a month guaranteed, and you'll be able to make it as an artist. And so this person that's going through all this stuff, he says, well, might as well give it a try and look into it. And maybe he's a little bit doubtful at first because it seems too good to be true. So he clicks on it and signs up for a call with some people. And so he's talking with those people, and they say, yeah, the program's real, it's guaranteed, and so you're guaranteed to make money. And what we do is we just we'll give you a piece of content. All you have to do is watch the video. Then you're going to create your work of art, and then we have people that are basically waiting in line to purchase your piece of art for $3,000. And so that's all that we require of you. You watch this video, then in front of whatever it is, your canvas, and then you'll create a work of art, and then that work of art will sell to our investors that are waiting to buy it. And so it's basically a foolproof system. Here's the link to the video. So what we suggest is that when you're watching this video, you don't have any distractions, nobody else in the room, nobody else that can see or hear the video. Just watch the video in front of your canvas, and then once you have that finished work of art, send us images of it and we'll send it to our investors, and then we'll get it sold for you. So this is the like beginning of the video. And so the artist, of course, he's a struggling artist, so he wants to try it out. So then he sets up his studio space where he's going to paint. He's going to do a painting, and you can kind of see some of the paintings he's done in the past, like these realistic, simple paintings, but attractive and fairly well done. But he's just struggling as an artist, and so that's why he's doing this program. So then he like goes up, and I imagine like he opens the screen on his laptop next to his paints and things, and then he goes to the video and he pushes play, and the camera's looking at him, and his eyes kind of zoom out, and there's kind of like a hypnotic rhythm that's playing, and then everything becomes kind of blurry, and then he kind of comes to and wakes up, and the video's over. He doesn't really remember anything about the video, and he looks at the canvas that was blank before he sat down, and there's a hideous, like, bizarre painting that is very strange, very ugly, looks like some sort of like demonic character, not anything like the artwork that he did before. And he doesn't remember anything. So the video he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember the like getting out the paints, any of the painting process. It's all a blur. And he was doing it late at night, and he wakes up in the morning, and it's morning, and he just doesn't understand what happened, and he doesn't like the painting, and so he covers the painting, and he's kind of disturbed. So he then gives the people a call, the people that he talked to over Zoom, and he says, I think something weird happened, something went wrong. I don't know what was happening. Like, I did what you said. I watched the video, but I don't remember any of it. And the painting's like really ugly. And so I don't think I'm comfortable selling this. And then the people that they ran the advertisement and gave him the video content, they said, oh, no. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Like, this happens all the time. So just send us an image of it. We'll get it sold, no problem, and we'll get you paid today as soon as you ship it out. And so then he's kind of feeling bad about it, but he takes a picture and like almost instantly gets a notification, like $3,000. It's sold, and the money's moved over to his bank account. He just has to ship it out. So then he boxes it and ships it. And then they say, like, great job on making your first sale. You've made as much as you made last month. You've made it this month, and so we look forward to seeing your next piece. Can we schedule you for making another one this week? And so that's kind of the start of this. And then as he goes through and he feels kind of bad, so he kind of puts off doing this again. And maybe he finds that the problems that he had with like his wife, they're not really resolving. There's still kind of arguments about money. Things are still stressful, and if anything, things have gotten worse. Like, the money came in, but now they're fighting over like what to do with this. And he feels that he has to go back, so he does it a few more times, going back and making these artworks, doesn't remember the process, and then there's just a hideous work of art, but he sells it and he makes money every time, like a $3,000 check for 3 hours that he doesn't even remember, like what is it costing him, basically. And so So then, like, he decides, you know what? Like, yes, we're making more money, but I really don't feel good about this. I don't like the works of art. And I imagined that there was a scene where his daughter would come in when one of the paintings that he's done, while he's in kind of this trance of watching this video that they've given him to, that serves as the inspiration for the artwork, that one of these ugly paintings, demonic paintings that he's been creating is uncovered, and his daughter walks in and she says, like, ooh, what is that? What is that, Dad? Why are you painting that? That's not like your other paintings. I like your nice paintings. And then that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, where he's like, okay, I have to stop. I have to stop doing this. And so then he goes and sets up a call and says to the people that advertised for this, you know what, I'm really not interested in continuing this program. I don't feel good about it, so I think I'm gonna give it a break. I appreciate what you guys did and helping me sell a few artworks. And then, you know, the people on the other side of the screen get very dark, and they say, like, if you walk away now and if you stop doing this, we can guarantee that you will never make any money ever again selling your artwork. Like, you're part of the program now, and it's working. You're making money. We're making money as a small commission off of the stuff off of the buyers that we're bringing to the table. All you have to do is keep doing what you're doing. Like, if you give up now, you will have to quit being an artist, because you will never make money selling the artwork that you were selling before. Now that these artworks are tied to your name, like, you won't make money selling the stuff that you were doing before. So think long and hard before you want to commit to ending this program. And so then the artist just hangs up on him. And then, just like they said, like, the art kind of dries up. The business kind of dries up, and the guy has to go and finds a part-time job doing something else. But then in his spare time, you know, he's still painting, and he decides that he's going to do one great painting. So he takes out the canvas and creates this beautiful painting, and a beautiful, masterful painting that is well made. And then he hangs it up in his house, in his home, and then somebody comes and sees the painting, and they're like, "Oh wow, that is beautiful. That's an incredible painting." And I imagined it would be a painting of Christ, you know, that this would kind of come back to a spiritual thing, a spiritual sense of that he refocused his life, and it was on Christ. And they say, "Well, you must make a lot of money as an artist," and he just kind of says, "Well, no, not really, but I enjoy what I do." And that would be the end of the movie. And so I liked that concept as a short film, because I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was an interesting thing. I don't want to like go through and like give what everything means and everything, but it was just something that I felt like, okay, it could be a low budget film. I could film it basically at home, and it could be roughly based on a character that's like me, and it kind of deals with this environment that we're in right now, where there's a lot of people that don't really believe in the spiritual, or they don't really feel that there's anything more than just like money. And if you're able to make money as an artist, then why not sell your soul, basically, or sell your integrity, creating art that you don't like, to do it, to just make money. And so I don't know, it was an idea that came to me, and when it came to me, I like recorded the idea, and I thought, oh, that would be a cool concept for a short film that is maybe doable. And it would be difficult, because I'm not or up to this point, I'm not a filmmaker or anything, but it's something that I've been thinking about and thought that would just be fun, just be enjoyable to try to create something like that. So anyway, that's the concept. I don't know if I have a title for it yet, but I thought it was I don't know. What do you guys think? I thought it was a good idea for a short film. It's kind of, I guess you'd call it like a drama type thing. And I didn't want, I didn't want it to be overly religious, but because I am somebody that, I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I have a faith, and I just live that out. So it's not like, that would be, a preachy. It's not something that I wanted to be preachy, but it's just something that it's just like, kind of addresses that there's a spiritual realm to what we do as artists. And when we create something that makes things uglier or makes, or that celebrates, or that is, I don't know, demonic, I guess you could say, like that's ugly, or that's, I don't know, pornographic, or something that's, not appealing spiritually, then it drains us instead of giving us new life as artists. When we do something that we know we shouldn't do, then it drains that creative energy from us. So that's kind of the concept of a film that I'd like to do, a short film or a indie film, just on my own. So, anyway, that's about it. Hi, I'm from Iran and learned a lot with your education. That's great. You're really good. I came here because of Proco. Hee hee. Yeah, Proco's awesome. It's a great resource. And in the end, the best always win. Yeah, and I don't know if I even wanted to, like, if I did the short film, like, obviously, like, maybe he does make a sale in the end. I haven't decided that. But I didn't even want that to be, like, I didn't want the sale to be the reward. Like, even if he didn't get rewarded, he created something beautiful, and that's enough. And he created something that he believed in and that was meaningful to him as an artist, and that's enough. And so that's kind of what I wanted to be the moral of the story, is that even if he didn't get to the point where he could monetize it, it was the fact that he created something that was good, was in and of itself a good ending to, that kind of drama type film. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap it up for this video. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think if you watch this and then you have thoughts about creating that short film. Then I'd love to hear about it, or if you have, or if, I guess, if somebody steals the idea, it's out there. But the idea is the easy part. The creating a good work of art is always the hard part. So, all right. If you're interested in sculpting, check out the free PDFs that go over the figure sculpting fundamentals, and as well as portrait sculpting. And there's also the full courses. If you find the free content helpful, you might want to invest in the full courses to get access to all of the content and to really take sculpting seriously and try to master it as a work of art or as an artist. And there's also my ebooks, An Artist's X-Ray Vision, The Male Figure and the Female Figure, which are a great resource just for artists in general if you're interested in drawing, painting, or sculpting people. It's got a bunch of diagrams that I've found to be really helpful. So you can find links to all of that in the video description. As always, I hope that you guys can stay creative and stay productive as I'm trying to do the same. And hopefully I'll see you again soon in another video. See you around.